Episode commencing in 3, 2, 1. Episode initiated.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crittercon 5 and our kickoff here. You might have heard them before on Cosmic Crit, but this is your GM Patrick, and I have joining me once more to talk about all things organized play and society, Linda and Jessica from Paizo. Guys, thank you so much for coming back and chatting with us about society play.
Thanks for having us.
Always happy to talk about Starfinder Society.
Yeah, I joked that I feel like I get a new crash course every single year in society play because I like talking with Paizo folks like I don't know anything about it, even though I have GM'd 4 years now. But it wasn't too long ago, right after we started the podcast, that I was completely new to society play. I'd never played any organized play, and then it just takes really one scenario as either player or GM to dive right in. And now we have an entire convention really organized around org play.
Exactly as planned.
And yeah, there's no getting away from it. All of our listeners out there have been indoctrinated into our lodge, and I've explained this a couple of times. I want and I wish we had more time to play organized play for podcasting purposes, but unfortunately they keep writing adventure paths, and those take a lot of time to get through. So, well, first off, once again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Can you guys tell me a little bit about your respective roles at Paizo and what you do in regards to organized play?
I am the Starfinder Society developer, so I am in charge of making the scenarios that you play. So I plan the year's scenarios and metaplot along with input from the rest of the team. I outline each scenario. I hire the authors who write them. I get to write the snazzy art orders for the art team to hire brilliant artists and make some magic. I help guide our authors along the way, provide feedback, provide advice. I develop the scenarios. I do copy fitting. I write boons when we need them, and all kinds of miscellaneous tasks.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You're probably one of the folks that was in charge of giving us our boons for Crittercon, our charity boons. I believe we've obviously they've already been announced, and I definitely know what they are because this wasn't recorded in advance. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
and this is where I announce what they are. Cut to record something recorded after. Linda, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, so I'm the development manager for the digital adventures team at Paizo. So I am the manager for Jessica and Mike Kimmel, who does basically the same job for Pathfinder Society, as well as Thurston Hillman, who does one-shots and bounties and interactives. So my job generally involves being sort of the second set of eyes on all of the digital products, as well as general managerial things, scheduling stuff, putting out flyers, that kind of stuff.
Excellent. So you guys work together a lot, obviously, on all the Starfinder Society stuff that goes out the door at this point. For folks that have not done any organized play before, and like I said, like 4 years ago, that was including me. Can you explain exactly how it works? Like what is Pathfinder and Starfinder Society?
Yeah, so organized play is a framework that allows people to be very flexible in the way that they play. We've got a bunch of 4-hour scenarios, a huge table for both Pathfinder Society and Starfinder Society that people can jump in and play. And the idea with organized play is that instead of having, your traditional one GM, one static group of characters, you can come in and you can you start off with a level 1 character, you level them up over time, and you can play them wherever you want. So you can play first, your first game is at a convention, and your second game, in-person convention, your second game is an online game, your third game is with some friends, your fourth game is in another state that you're visiting, or things like that. So it allows for a lot of flexibility for people to pick up and play those adventures with characters and different players and different GMs each time. And you don't have to be like, there's no sort of rules for who's allowed to GM or whatever. If you've got the scenario, you can run the scenario for people.
Right. So yeah, you can GM just for your friends forever, but your friends who are playing characters can also take those characters to their local gaming store, like you said, or conventions, which obviously we're doing a lot of scenarios and society play here at Crittercon, but it makes it so they are balanced to the point where those players can go to any table, as opposed to, I guess, if you're playing more of a campaign mode, it's a level 10 character from one person's regular campaign might not be the same balanced as a level 10 character from someone else's. Like maybe the GM gave them a super powered weapon,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't really a concern for just a GM that gets 4 random players in society play, right?
Yeah, we have a sort of a shared framework with that. And also the adventures don't assume that anyone has played any one particular adventure in the past. They just assume, hey, if you're playing Starfinder Society, your character is a member of the Starfinder Society. If you're playing Pathfinder Society, your character is a member of the Pathfinder Society.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else beyond that, the adventure is going to provide the GM the context to bring you into that adventure.
I've said at tables that it's very fun because you'll have someone who indeed has played a ton of scenarios and be like, oh, I know that NPC, or, I know kind of what this plot is about. And they work very well with new players sitting down, maybe just taking up a pre-generated character to try it out. And the framework of them being in the same society and maybe it's like a veteran and a noob, it works. And I've GM'd it at conventions. I've played it at conventions, and it's amazing how well it can meld a group of people that have never played together before. It's really surprising, actually, how after 4 hours you can be bonded to folks that you just sat down at a table for the first time with. Awesome. I always toot the horn of society play for that very reason. I think if you haven't played tabletop role-playing games before, it's actually a great introduction because they give you all the tools. You don't even have to make a character for yourself, to just sit down and have a GM kind of give you one and jump in. Starfinder is kind of new, so that's also a good way to do that. But if you've not played Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which is also even more new now, it's a good way to learn some of those rules too. Awesome. So the new seasons of each of the society plays we talked about when you were on the podcast. Starfinder starts at PaizoCon, and the new season, the upcoming season for Pathfinder Society, starts at Gen Con. So a little difference between little time difference between the new season starts, and that's a year of scenarios that come out, right?
Yes, that's right. And the staggering really helps with not having the big giant launches for both of them at the same time. So we can really focus our efforts on putting in on having a big splash for each one with 3 new scenarios.
So, in each season, you were saying has a meta plot. Can you explain a little bit about what those are? Like, would I have to know about the previous season's plot to jump into, say, the new season that's coming out?
No, the way that they are is that the meta plots are overarching stories that that'll run throughout an entire season.
Mm-hmm.
But and some of the scenarios in that season, but not all, will tie into that meta plot. And they don't expect you've played other scenarios in that meta plot before. If you jump in later on, it'll give the GM the context to get you up to speed. And also, the story doesn't assume that you've played scenarios that were part of a previous meta plot. They might connect or build off of one of the previous meta plots in some way, in a way that players who've played a previous one can look at and go, oh yeah, I recognize that where this sort of built off of, or like, I remember seeing this character before. but you don't have to have played any of the previous ones. But we've got an awesome new meta plot that Jessica came up with for that's launching at PaizoCon.
Yeah, in only a couple weeks, when after Crittercon, we're kind of like at the tail end of, I guess, the season 4 of the Starfinder Society, but we've got a whole new society, Year of Redemption's Rise, that's coming in just a couple weeks, right? At PaizoCon?
Yes.
Awesome. Is there a lot of challenges with that? I guess developing these scenarios. It kind of sounds like, since you use the term season, it's like a season of television, but you don't have to watch every single episode to kind of like jump into an adventure, a 4-hour adventure for each of these scenarios. Do you think people get more out of it if they play every single one? Or
I think, for meta plots, like if you're for meta plots or like self-contained story arcs, you will get more of the story if you play everything that's connected. But because you'll sort of see, so it might tell you, for example, just to pull something out of thin air, like if the Starfinder Society set up a new encampment on a planet, and you played that first scenario where they set up that encampment, then, in scenarios that are coming out of that base in the future, you'd be like, oh yeah, we built that base. But you didn't have to see when that base was built to understand, oh, we're at a base on this planet.
Right.
But one of the things that we really like to do is put in call outs to previous adventures. So it'll say, hey, if you played Starfinder scenario 9/47, set up a base on the planet, guys. Then Krigbot recognizes you and will say this like extra thing to you to be like, oh, thank you so much for helping deal with the nanite swarms that we're invading. And then maybe like gives you some extra favor or some extra bit of information because you had played that one before. So that's the way that we try to put in a little bit of continuity. But we also want to make sure, because like we can't expect the GMs to be encyclopedic masters of everything that's ever released before. No, we want to make sure that GMs can just pick up a scenario and they've never run a scenario before, and it'll still make sense for them to run it.
Yeah, and a lot of the scenarios will have story reminders, like you said, but also when the players complete those scenarios, they on their end sheets that they get, they might also have a boon or some other thing that will remind them. Like they usually will get, like at a convention, a physical sheet, or if you're playing online, something digitally sent to you with the experience and credits that you would get, or gold in Pathfinder Society. And then that would also be a little reminder if they do play a scenario that connects to it, about, you have the king's ear or a CEO's favor that you can use later on. But yeah, you might not necessarily know, if you're sitting down at a table and you've not read the scenario, that is going to come up. But those kind of things, I think, are really what bring a lot of players back to society play and wanting to keep evolving that plot and get their character involved, in more interesting ways, and have them rise up the ranks of the different societies.
So we look at sort of two prongs of interactivity there. There's that one where people get chronicle sheets that are records of each adventure they've played and the rewards they have. And we're recently been including summaries of the adventures up at the top, because we know that when you're playing Society, you might play this character and then you go play another character, and you dust off a character you haven't played for 3 years and you're trying to remember what you did with them. Those summaries are intended to help remind you, oh yeah, I did this adventure and we made this choice and that kind of thing. And the other one is that at the end of a lot of adventures, we'll have a little reporting conditions for GMs. So whenever we've got these major decisions, like, did you ally with these people, or did you drive them off? What did you do here? Did you save this person, or did you fail to save them? Did you choose that you wanted to establish your base here or there? we'll have like a little thing there so that when the GM goes to Paizo.com to make a report of that session, they can say, oh yeah, our group did this. And then what happens is that if we're trying to look at, oh yeah, did Quigbot survive this scenario? We can look and we can say, oh yeah, 80% of GMs said their table saved Quigbot. Quigbot is alive. Or, oh no, 80% of GMs said that Quigbot didn't survive. Funerals for Quigbot. So we can use these kinds of things to decide the future of the campaign. And it's surprising sometimes how far back we'll go. Like there was even, and other developers can ask us about that kind of stuff too. Like there was even a question that came up and somebody was asking me, hey, so whatever happened to this character? And and we had decided that in an adventure like 6 years ago. So we went and we pulled that data and we told that person, well, here's what happened to that character. Okay, yeah, that's going to shape what's going to happen in another product. So I really like that aspect of how what you do at your tables is going to decide what direction we move in the future.
If a scenario is repeatable and you can play it multiple times, has anyone tried to save Quigbot by just playing it over and over again?
Well, we try not to have major decision points like that in repeatables because that can get a little funny. It's like, well, I saved Quigbot twice and then I decided I wanted to see what happened if we didn't save Quigbot and that kind of thing. But
makes sense.
Because repeatables also are more likely to have things that would be different from have things that are going to be different on multiple playthroughs. They don't always, but to keep them fresh. The ones that are sort of the intros to the new seasons, they may not be quite as different because they're more repeatable because they're trying to be like, hey, GMs, you can keep getting credit for playing these tables. We want as many people playing those as possible to get them into what the new season is. Because we've got those for Data Scourge, and then we're going to have it too for Redemption's Rise, a scenario that's intro, Data Scourge, intro, Redemption's Rise. So if you're like, hey, I'd like to get in on what this meta plot's about, then that's the perfect place to start.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a fun. I only really heard about that with the advent of the Starfinder Society. Was that something that was done in Pathfinder 1 Society play? Was there those kind of changes that players could affect?
Yeah. The reporting stuff has been going on. I don't know exactly how far back it went, but the one I just referenced was one from season 7 of Pathfinder Society that got pulled, and I know we've pulled older ones, so that's been going on for a while.
Since you guys have been in positions of being able to see that data coming back, has there been any really close, like 51%, 49%? Split decisions?
I would say usually it's sometimes it might be more like a 60-40, but there hasn't ever been one that's like completely
down to the wire.
Completely down to the wire. Though there's always people who will like who will check, like, if it's like check A if this happened, check D if this happened. There's always people who will be like, oh, I'm going to check D. It's like, what? Why? That's not an option.
Did he live or die? Did he live or die? We need to know.
Option D.
He's in a liminal state.
He's an undead. He's in stasis. Like, what are you?
we don't know which box to check. So for players that are wanting to jump into this crazy world of society play, do you have any tips or tricks about making a character or finding a table for the first time? And can I ask maybe a little bit about your guys' experiences jamming or playing in society play?
Yeah. So if you are looking to play, you probably are either going to be looking to get together with a group of your friends who are all saying, hey, we want to try this out. Or you're going to be looking to connect with the broader community for your first game. So if you're looking to connect with the broader community, there's a few places that are good to go. If you go to pfschat.com, that is the invite link for the Organized Play Online Discord, where you can connect to the online community. You can also find a lot of games that are running. One of the most popular places to find those games is on warhorn.net, where you can see like, oh, people have a sign up thing for a game. You can come up. These are public games. Anybody's welcome to join them. And those will say where the games are. Another thing you can do is if you go to organizedplayfoundation.org and click on Paizo Organized Play, then there is a button Find Games, and that has the contact information for the regional volunteers. So the regional venture coordinators, who are volunteers who coordinate volunteers over large regions, and so they know exactly what's going on in those areas. And from that, you can find the coordinator from your area. So and then click to send them an email and be like, hey, you're the venture coordinator for, it's Auka, it's the venture coordinator for Belarus. So if you live there, you can send him an email and be like, hey, where are the games nearby? And he'll let you know. So there's a few means that you can use to find those games that already exist and connect with communities. If you're just looking to play with friends, I still recommend checking out that organizedplayfoundation.org website. We've got our guide to organized play there that talks about sort of the little organized play specific rules. You can also go to the Paizo website at starfindersociety.club for Starfinder, or pathfindersociety.club for Pathfinder. And that has links to more resources, including those pre-generated characters that you mentioned before. I'd recommend for getting started, whether you're for GMing or if you're trying to start up a new group, I'd really recommend starting with the intro scenarios that we have. Both Starfinder Society and Pathfinder Society have 2 intro scenarios. Intro 1 is designed to be like, what is the Starfinder/Pathfinder Society? And Intro 2 is designed to be like, hey, so I heard there's these factions, these little sub-organizations within these societies that have these different goals. What's their deal? I'd recommend if you're just jumping in, Intro 1, then Intro 2, and then check out the intro for the season that you're on. So very soon, that's going to be the intro for the Year of Redemption's Rise. So you can buy those PDFs on Paizo.com for if you're the GM, and run your players through those. So that's a great way to start out. That'll get your level 1 character to level 2 and ready to check out any of the other content with a solid grasp in what our new meta plot is, what the Starfinder or Pathfinder Society is, as well as what those factions are.
Yeah. I mean, I will go one step further and say those introductions are also, because I've run them at conventions for people that have never played a tabletop role-playing game before. They're great introductions to what is Starfinder, what is that world, as well as the Society, and Pathfinder 2. I've played the Pathfinder intro, and just getting a hang of what exactly is this setting, it really helps out, because it talks a little bit about the Absalom Station and the Drift and things like that. Some of the greater science fiction-y ideas for Starfinder Society and what exactly Galarion is and things like that in Pathfinder Society. So great introductions, especially if you are a GM, a new GM, and wanting to introduce your friends to Pathfinder and Starfinder, which I do pretty often with people that have like, what is this? What are role-playing games kind of thing. So, maybe a little bit better than just diving into a adventure path, for example. Excellent. Jessica, any tips or tricks about someone that wants to make specifically a Starfinder Society character and jump in to organized play this weekend or this evening to play a game?
Well, I will.
Can I ask who your favorite pre-gen is? Pre-generated character?
My favorite pre-generated character is Steph. I like Steph the Operative. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. it's really hard to, I love seeing giving those pre-generated characters to people that have never played Starfinder before and having them read it over and be like, oh, I understand who this character is, and immediately without any prompting start making dad jokes as as Bug Dad and you know, I don't know, that there's definitely a amalgam of people that jump into Obadiah as well in the format for playing her. Awesome.
Yeah, I'd say like that if you're just starting out, it's probably a good idea not to be like, oh yeah, you know, I wanna use these 17 different books and make like a mecha giant complicated character. You can make all sorts of awesome characters with the Starfinder core rulebook.
Oh yeah.
So start off there, and we also have a thing where up until you're playing at second level, you can just completely radically redesign your character between every session. So yeah, just start with the core rulebook, and if you played 3 times and you decide, hey, you know, I want to try out this other class, you can always do that, or you can and keep all that XP you've used, or you can roll up a new character or stat up a new character. Not technically rolling, I guess. But you know, you can set up a new character and pick them up there. I know my first society game was also like, I was pretty new to fairly new to Pathfinder at the time, and just being like, oh well, you know, I guess a rogue seems like they're pretty straightforward, and a halfling is kind of a stereotypical rogue, and I've got a game and like I've got a game pretty soon, so I guess I'll just make a halfling rogue.
I feel called out. I've made halfling operatives in Starfinder Society. I was like, that seems to fit, right? Little stabby guy. Awesome. People are very excited to continue on with these new seasons of Society play, but like I said, this convention and just about every single one that we've run, we get new players sitting down at tables with people that have been playing for, you know, 2 or 3 years for Pathfinder Society and 5 years for Starfinder Society, and they get along pretty famously. I don't know if you guys have had many mixed tables like that, but for our lodge and for Crittercon, both GMs and players alike are actually quite excited when a new player sits down, a new player to the system. So that's one thing I always like to suggest to our listeners that want to jump into Society play is, you know, feel free to ask questions, and or, you know, because you're usually at a table of 5 other players, feel free not to be pressured. And I don't know, just because you're playing maybe the soldier character, you don't have to be the front line or making every single decision for your party. One of the great things about the parties being so large is you can kind of lay back in the cut a little bit for your first scenario. I know I definitely did when I was I think I first played Obadiah as a pre-generated character in Starfinder Society. I think it's been many a year. So
yeah. And another thing too is that because these adventures are not only do you know that you don't know exactly what kind of characters are going to come to it, but like people could come in and everybody's a soldier, and they still got to be able to do the scenario, right? Or everybody's got the same class, or like the adventurers cannot expect a balanced party. So whatever you bring, you're going to be bringing your own perspective, but it's not going to be like, oh, I'm the only soldier, and like this adventure expected a soldier, so if I don't, whatever you do, you're going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. If you're the only one that has computers or society skills, you might be expected to make some rolls, but you're not going to make or break everyone's adventure if you fail those rolls. It just doesn't happen. One of the cool things about Crittercon, though, is we're raising money for Doctors Without Borders, for charity, because this is an officially sanctioned Paizo convention. If you do end up playing this weekend and enjoying Society play, you can pay to affect some of your rolls and get re-rolls in case you do royally mess up one roll and you want to try and get a better one, you can donate to the charity, and we have information your GMs will have about where to do that, how to do that, and get a reroll. Doesn't normally happen if you go to your local gaming store to play organized play. You can't just slip your GM a $5 bill and be like, I don't think I rolled that natural one. But for charity, you are allowed to do that, which is a lot of fun. I definitely abuse that when I'm a player at charity conventions. I come with fat stacks because I don't want to lose my level 14 Starfinder Society character to
well, I mean, you know what? It's for a good cause, though. So
yes, it's for a great cause.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you guys for being here to kick off this Crittercon 5. Is there anything you'd like to plug or chat about for upcoming releases from Paizo, or I mean, it could be anything you want to plug here at the end. Anything that's coming up at PaizoCon, especially?
Yeah, for PaizoCon, check out the first 3 scenarios in the Year of Redemption's Rise.
Right,
that
of
is
course.
Scenario 5-1, Intro Year of Redemption's Rise by Alex Spidel for levels 1 to 4. That is Scenario 5-2, Road to Reconciliation by Shay Snow. And Scenario 5-3, Fugue of the Traitor by Allison Side.
Awesome. All 3 of those dropping the weekend of PaizoCon.
PaizoCon.
That'd be the first place that you could GM or play them, right?
Yep.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Whole new season starting off in just a couple weeks. If you are at Crittercon this weekend, you're experiencing like the end of a season as well. So
yes.
we have some of the end scenarios for Data Scourge, right?
Yes,
season?
number 416, Hope for the Future by Jenny Jarzabski.
Awesome. Linda, what about you?
Yeah, I recommend at PaizoCon checking out the Drift Crisis book for the new calamitous event that is striking the Starfinder universe. And if you're looking for a way to get into that, I recommend playing that newly released one-shot, Starfinder one-shot number 4, Before the Storm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a event and kind of a new thing for Starfinder that is going to be both a rule book, the Drift Crisis, but also affect scenarios in society, Starfinder Society, and the adventure path. We have a 3-part adventure path that all ties together. Anything you can tease about that? Or will people get a lot out of buying all those and playing all of them together?
So for the Starfinder Society, we have 3 Drift Crisis scenarios, 1 low level, 1 mid level, 1 high level, which are all very exciting. I can tell you, I totally snooped at the Drift Crisis book and it looks amazing.
Right. Yes.
But I can't tell you much about it.
That rule book, more than any other, seems like a very interesting mystery. I think people are very excited about that. I think they understand what an alien archive is going to be, and what a character operations manual is going to have in it. But I'm kind of guessing at this point what all could be in there. So that's going to be an exciting release. Anything else? Anything else on the horizon that you'd like to talk about?
There's Starfinder Interstellar Species. It's going to be coming out at the end of the year, which is going to be super exciting for lots of opportunities for people to have new options for the characters that they have been playing from a wide variety of species. One of the real draws of Starfinder, in my opinion, is the fact that you can play so many different aliens, and you have just in the groups that you play in too. Particularly if you're playing Starfinder Society, and so then you don't have like the same players. It's like, oh yeah, today I'm going to adventure here, and then tomorrow I'm going to adventure here, and it's got a totally different mix of people. And it's like, oh yeah, today I talked to a psychedelic walrus, and then tomorrow I'm gonna chill with a floating brain, and that's just how you do.
You know what? I've not really thought about this before. That probably is definitely one of the strongest suits of being a player for Starfinder, but I wonder how often it's ever happened that 6 players have sat down and not coordinated and had all the same alien species that they're playing, because there's just so many you can choose from. And as soon as people unlock a new one for Starfinder Society, it's like, oh, this is my new main. So there's very few people that have a Barathan or what have you, a Skittermander. So I'm gonna be playing them. I guess a lot of people have a Skittermander now, but
yeah, hugs.
Yeah.
They're helping.
Yeah.
Skittermanders like to help.
Yeah,
Their definition of help is not always your definition of help. Hilarity ensues.
It's a
They're
monkey
trying.
paw situation if you ask for their aid, if you ask them to aid you on a skill check. Awesome. Well, thank you so much both for being here and chatting with us about Society Play. Where can people find you online, or if they come to PaizoCon, where can they track you down to ask you some more questions or chat you up more about the subjects?
I am on Twitter at D20 Diaries.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on my Twitch stream twice a week, on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, Twitch at Arcane Mark, twitch.tv/Arcane Mark, as well as on the Arcane Mark Discord at tiny.cc/Arcane Mark.
Awesome. So people have a lot of access to you, Linda, if they want to ask specific questions about things that have come out and things that you've developed. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys again so much for being here, for helping us kick off Crittercon 5, which I have to remind myself what number we're up to every single year. I'm like, is this really the 5th one that we've done?
What is time even?
It doesn't seem like Starfinder's been out that long, but it has. It's the old Paizo game at this point. So thank you again for being here. There are, for those of you listening to this, the weekend of Crittercon, there are still tons of spaces available to play, I'm sure. There are usually opportunities to still GM if you want to jump in and help out, as well as dozens of different ways that you can donate and help out the Doctors Without Borders, but also get amazing prizes and things like that for yourself. So check out we'll have it linked in the description here, our donation portal and our website about it. Guys, thanks again so much for being here, and we'll see you next Crittercon 6. Thank you again, and have a great PaizoCon and beyond.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.